Hey Campbell Wrestling fans, this Wednesday, our preliminary wrestle-offs, we have some good matches early on. It's something you guys are not going to want to miss. At 125, we have Corbin Mink on the top half of the bracket. Corbin is a two-time SoCon champ, two-time NCAA qualifier. He has some really solid wins. In fact, he actually beat the NCAA finalist Zeke Moisey at the NCAA tournament. And then on the bottom half, we have no slouch, Zurich Storm. He transferred in from NC State. He was our starter last season. He beat Sam Latona out of Virginia Tech, who ended up being an NCAA All-American and has a lot of really solid wins under his belt. Then on the top half of the bracket, Corbin Mink's going to have the winner of Josiah Fry and Sebastian Melguizo. That's going to be a high-flying match. Josiah Fry, known for his judo skills, his trips, his throws. And then Sebastian Melguizo, believe it or not, is known for his throws as well. Melguizo actually became a Fargo All-American this summer, so he's no slouch. And then on the bottom half of the bracket, you have Zach Thompson. I actually rolled with him the other day. He's very quick on his feet, has a great single leg, really fast, he attacks. And he's going to square off against another veteran, Anthony Moulton, our transfer from Fresno State. Anthony Moulton actually made the finals of the National Collegiate Open when he was at Old Dominion. Went to Fresno, was a starter there, and so he has a little bit of wisdom underneath his belt. So that weight class is great. It's the only weight class we have two NCAA qualifiers at, and then you have the monkey wrench Anthony Moulton, has seen some time, has gotten a little bit of miles under his wheels, so should be an interesting bracket, probably one of the biggest and toughest brackets we have. Then moving on to 133, we have a round robin. We have Gabe Hicksonball, who was our starter last season. He's going to square off against Cole Wilson, who's a PA placer, tough, scrappy guy. And then also you have Dom Zacone, who is a transfer out of the University of Illinois, who's actually undefeated and very tough. All those guys, short, stocky, they like to hand fight, they're explosive, they're strong. And so we have three similar build wrestlers, and both those guys like to scrap, all three of them in fact. So that should be a really great weight class. But moving on to 141, we have Shannon Hanna on the top of the bracket. Shannon Hanna is our starter from last season. He transferred from Old Dominion. He made the SoCon finals this year, and then he took off this summer. We went to U23s in Iowa. He became an All-American there, so we think that was his breakout performance, but he's going to have to put it to the test. I mean, he's got some guys in here that are going to want to challenge him. In fact, first round, we have Dom DeFalco out of Pennsylvania, leg rider, who can, pose some problems on top. And on the bottom half of the bracket, you have Callum Sitek versus Chris Rivera. Those guys actually squared off this summer at U23s. Callum got the better of Chris. That was freestyle. Obviously folk style is a little bit different, but we'll see if the style change does anything there. Chris was a highly touted recruit. One of the best kids in the country. He wrestled at 133 last season. I think he was just a little too big for that weight class. He's making the move up to 141. He's grown into that weight, and his brother Justin has bumped up to 149. So he's definitely a little bit bigger. I think not cutting weight's going to help him, but Callum has been working, and Callum is ripped. And all four of those guys are monkey wrenches to each other, and should be really interesting to see how that unveils. Moving on to 157, on the top half of the bracket, we have Matt DeLara. Matt DeLara is a returning starter. Last season, we redshirted him due to injury, but he's actually been in the SoCon finals before. He's made big jumps. He's always in here working 24 hours out of the day. He's going to square off against Alex Rivera, the multiple-time Missouri State champ. And then on the bottom half of the bracket, you have Jacob Chisholm squaring off against Jared Hopkins. Obviously, Hopkins is a name you guys recognize. His brother Caleb and Levi have been here now. And the winner of that's going to have Bilal Bailey. Bilal Bailey, the couple-time Illinois State champ, Fargo All-American. He actually saw his way in the lineup at 165 last season, and he's cutting down to 157. Bilal's going to be a big hammer in this weight class. He's probably in the top 1 percentile in strength, so we're really interested to see how these guys match up. Moving on to 165, on the top half of the bracket, we have Troy Nation. Troy Nation actually won the wrestle-off last season, but due to injury, we pulled him. He's going to square off against Patrick Adams. Patrick is a sophomore here at Campbell, first year on the team. And then on the bottom half of the bracket, you have Kevin Michelle versus Josh Epperly. And the winner of that's going to have Riley Augustine. So Riley actually made his way into the wrestle-off finals last year at 157. He was kind of a surprise of the wrestle-offs. There's always some guys in there that you're not sure how they're going to do, and they perform much better. And he was kind of one of those guys that surprised us. But this year, it's no surprise. He can wrestle. He's tough. And so we'll see how all of those guys kind of square up against each other. At 184, on the top half of the bracket, we have Caleb Hopkins. Caleb was a top 15 seed at the NCAA tournament. He's from Alaska. Very unorthodox style of wrestling. And this first round match is not a giveaway. He's got Colin Nation. Colin's scrappy, scrambly, awkward style. Colin's from Japan. So we kind of bring something different to the table. Those guys scrap in the room, and it gets a little bit funky out there. So I would say in terms of dark horses, Colin Nation's definitely probably the biggest dark horse we have on this team. And he's scoring up against arguably one of the best guys on our roster. So that's one to really keep an eye on early on. That's just a tough draw. That's the way it goes sometimes. Caleb versus Colin, first round at 184. On the bottom half of the bracket, you have Cole Reese, who was a top 100 recruit. From Wyoming Seminary. He's been all around the country wrestling the best. He's used to kind of the pressure. I think putting a singlet on him and seeing him compete could be interesting, but he's going to have Shane Quick, and Shane Quick was a finalist for the Wrestle-Offs last season. He's grown tremendously here, and really he gave Caleb Hopkins all he could handle. He was on Caleb's legs in the Wrestle-Offs, and Caleb went on to beat Zach Bronigal at the NCAA tournament, went on to be a top 15 seed. So, Shane's definitely somebody you can't overlook. So all four of those guys, I would say there's only four of them, but that's a deep weight. That's a weight that all those guys are going to battle, and honestly, all those guys expect to win. So I'm really excited to see what happens there and which guys step up when the pressure's on. At 197, we have Chris Kober. On the top half of the bracket, Chris is obviously a multiple-time NCAA qualifier for us, a bully. We call him the bully, Cobra Kai. Really hand-fighty, mean, aggressive style of wrestling. He's going to square off against Connor Maslenik, who is going to be afraid of that stuff. Connor's, they call him the New England Cowboy. He likes to battle, he likes to hand fight, and so I think what you're going to see there is just a good old-fashioned fist fight, which, you got Philly versus the New England Cowboy. So that should be a fun one to keep an eye on. On the bottom half of the bracket, you'll have Connor Miller versus Brandon Hoselton. Brandon was a couple-time Illinois State champ, Super 32 finalist. And, he likes to do a lot of throws, a lot of trips, and the winner of that match is going to square off against Levi Hopkins. Levi made the finals last year against Chris Kober, was challenging Chris Kober throughout the year, but, the job was Chris's. Chris has made that known, but Levi's been hungry ever since, and, I think he expects to go in there and win, and so it's going to be nice to see these guys battle and challenge each other, not just here on Wednesday and Saturday, but through the course of the season. I think they're going to keep each other hungry and keep each other getting better. At heavyweight, we have Tay Gaudialdi, who was our starter last season. We actually bumped him up from 197, so he was a small heavyweight. Went into the SoCon tournament as the number 3 seed, upset the number 2 seed of Gardner Webb, and then made the finals and really closed the gap against the Citadel kid. And really was just maybe a little bit too small, but he's had a whole summer of training, of lifting, of getting better, and a whole preseason. So he's going to square off against Luke Davis, the multiple-time Michigan State champ, really good top leg rider. On the bottom half of the bracket, you have Eli Daughtry and Calvin Hayford, and the winner of that's going to have Chad Nix. Chad's a giant. Chad's from Florida. He was a Super 32 placer. Really tough, likes to attack, moves like a little guy at times. But he'll have the winner of 2 guys that are veterans that have been here for a little bit, so between Calvin and Eli. So we have some great wrestle-offs for you this year. We're really excited. We hope these guys put on a show for you, score lots of points, and look forward to having some good content for you out, probably sometime on Friday in Campbell Orange.